Hello, Colts Nation. What's up, No Horsing family? Welcome back to an episode of the No Horsing Around podcast. As always, I am one of two dudes talking Colts, and it's been too long. We were joking beforehand. We're back together. It's back together.
Yeah.
Zach's here. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited to be back on here. We've just had a lot of conflicts of schedules and just trying to get things going on, holidays, all that good stuff. But man, we're back at it again. And what a great time, right? Like Saturday night football under the lights, a home game, just like you popped it in right on time. Indianapolis Colts versus New England Patriots. And I guess the $1 million question is, Steven, can we finally get over the hump, beat a really good playoff-worthy team, and more importantly, beat the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick?
Man, it's so funny. I don't want to give away my prediction yet, but it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like the momentum is there. We'll cover it when we're talking today, but it just feels a little different. You look back over the schedule, you look back over the Tampa game and the Ravens game. I was playing around with my buddy today. I'm looking over the schedule. Every game, there's not a game the Colts have been blown out in. They've been in every single game. And it's Patriots. I mean, you everything's about the rivalry, Manning and Brady and Belichick. And I mean, go back to Dungy and now Reich and McDaniels. That story's out there this week. There's so much underlying, and then they're the 1 seed, and the Colts are probably from what I've read, and I mean, and you're in Indianapolis, and so you see them more closely too, is that the Colts seem to be the hottest team and the team that nobody's going to want to play in the playoffs is what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the narrative, especially around here. We've just got the recipe to win football games, in December and especially in January with such a potent running game. And we run the football well and we cause a lot of turnovers. And that generally is a great recipe in the postseason. That being said, you just can't have those mental breakdowns and you can't have those, what I would like to call really untimely, turnovers. There's never a good time, Steven, to turn the football over, but you definitely can't fumble the football inside the 10-yard line against the world champions. You can't do things like that. If you want to win these big games, you got to play real clean, good football, and you got to know going into this week that Bill Belichick's football teams, for the most part, are not going to beat themselves, man. You're going to have to go out there and earn that win. On paper, you have to think that the Indianapolis Colts are, they match up very well in this football game. You really do. But you got all of this news kind of coming out, as the week's going on. Looks like the Browns are going to be down to their 3rd string quarterback because of this COVID thing. That's probably a break for us, honestly. Like if we're getting super nerdy here, and I am a nerd, so I apologize, but we're probably looking at, we would want the Raiders to beat the Browns because that's just another loss for a team that's right behind us, and it doesn't really hurt us with the Raiders as much as because they're actually 2 games behind us, and we get to play the Raiders head-to-head. So anytime you get to gain ground on another team that has a chance to catch up with you and still get to play a common opponent, big deal. As we're recording this podcast right now on a Thursday night, the Chiefs are beating the Chargers right now, which we need to happen, which we want to happen. And actually, before this podcast, Steven, I was looking. The Chiefs have a chance to really like help the Colts. Like if they go on a run and they just finish this season out and win the rest of the games, every single team they play for the rest of the season is a team that is in the playoff hunt with us right now. So really, they could individually knock a team off every single week for us. And lo and behold, you just never know. Crazy things can happen. And we win this week. Titans lose this week. Things get a little more tight in the South as well. I don't think we'll win the South, but hey, you never know, man. I mean, you never know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something interesting, as we look ahead to it too. That's something I've thought about is, I was talking to Titans fans in Tennessee, and, when you a month ago looking at the end of their schedule didn't look difficult. I mean, I know we have a tough road. You've got the Patriots, got to win. I think of the 4 final games, I think me and you might be similar in the Cardinals is probably the one game you could drop because it's NFC.
Yeah.
And that just got a heck of a lot more interesting because DeAndre Hopkins is out.
Yeah.
So that got a hell of a lot more interesting now for that one. and they didn't look so great last Monday. So, but then, you look at the Titans, we're 3 games back, technically 2 with a tiebreaker, so 3 with 4 games left. But there are 3 very tough games on their schedule, I think. I've talked to a lot of Titans fans. Steelers is tough. Who am I spacing on? Why am I spacing completely? There's the Dolphins and the Niners. Those are all tough games. So it's
Yeah.
going to be really interesting. But it begins and ends with the Colts have to just have to take care of business, man. To quote Ballard, the rivalry is back on, and you got to win this game. We joked earlier in the season when they're 0-3 or they're 1-4, where the must wins. This is a must win.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. Like there hasn't been a bigger game. I'll say this. Really, I mean, I know the playoffs are huge. There hasn't been a bigger regular season football game for the Indianapolis Colts under the Frank Reich era than there is this week. I mean, it really is for all of those reasons that you mentioned early. I mean, not just do we need to win a game to stay in that, that number 6 spot and potentially maybe even move up a spot, if the Chargers end up losing. But not just that. We have to prove to ourselves and the rest of the league that we're actually playoff worthy and we're actually, competitive enough that we can go on a run here, man. I mean, like, we're playing well. I just think that we're a very, very we've always been this close all season long. Like, it's time to do it. And these players, man, they got to know the importance of this. Like, most of these players didn't really get to experience the true New England Patriots, Colts rivalry, but it's all throughout that building, man. Like, they all know it. They feel it. The very reason that Frank Reich is our head coach this Saturday night is because Josh McDaniels turned the job down, right? Like, I mean, we may have never, ever had a chance to have Frank Reich in our building had the man done what he said he was going to do and accept the job. The hatred is real. Like there's these teams that kind of dislike each other in season and all that. But for the rest of our lives, I think that we're going to probably hate the New England Patriots as long as, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady exist. That just is never going to go away. So, yeah, man, I mean, huge game. We'll get into the game, the kind of the hot topics of the game here in a second. But I just can't I can't remember a buzz around this city like there is this week. Like, everybody, people are all talking about you going to the game, man. You're going to be there. It's going to be sold out. I feel like it's going to be an opportunity for the Colts to play a primetime football game at home, which just doesn't happen very often. Right. It's amazing, man. I mean, it's great for everybody. It's great for football, and I'm excited to see if we can go out there and really show who we are and our identity. No matter how good of a football team we play, we just stick to it and just say, you know what, man, we're gonna do what we do, and we're gonna dare you to stop us.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is when you look at this game, there's so much buzz. 7-6, they're the number 1 seed, but like you said too, there's a lot of players. Ty talked about it that I think he's 0 for 5 against the Patriots. He kind of understands. Irsay definitely gets it. And I mean, it's Patriots week. Like, I was talking to somebody about this week, and I was like, it's a different vibe. And I think it's different than years past too, because we have a team that's capable of winning. Yeah. And for me personally, as I watch the Patriots, I got a lot of questions still. They're dominating win against the Bills. Was it that dominating? Where are the Bills at? Mac Jones, rookie of the year. He's throwing for like 200 yards a game. He's asked to manage the game. What happens and we'll talk about, but what happens if you put him in a position where he has to go himself and win the game? What's going to happen? So I got a lot of questions still about the Patriots, even though they're the 1 seed. And like you said too, what do we do? How do we look? I think it comes down. I'm trying to remember who said it, but someone sent a tweet out and said this is going to come down. The players feel even. The talent on the teams feels pretty even. It's going to be Reich versus Belichick on the coaching, and what can Reich come up with? What can he scheme up? And I'm interested to see. I mean, is he going to look to take away Taylor and put the game in Wentz's hands? And then what's going to happen? There's so much to it. And it just adds that extra layer because it's the Patriots.
Yeah. 100%. Like, let's just get into it, man. I mean, like, we can talk about, what expectations are. And I've really given this a lot of thought as the week's gone on. And it's pretty obvious that, Bill Belichick has done something that seems so simple, but so good for so long. He just simply takes away the one or two things that you do really, really well and dares you to beat them in another way. It really comes down to that when you play the Patriots. So my expectation moving into this game, he's gonna attack that box. He's gonna challenge our wide receivers to get open, go one-on-one. He's gonna take away Michael Pittman Jr. That's really probably gonna be the two game plans. And then additionally, schematically, I think he's probably going to really, really heavily attack Eric Fisher this week. He notices, like the rest of the league notices, that Eric Fisher's had a hell of a time pass blocking this year, especially against really good, ends and exotic blitzes, very athletic people. I think you'll see a lot of overloads over there on that side to really put stress on Eric Fisher. Those are the three things that I think that Belichick in general will do to our team. That being said, Steven, they're not very good against the run, honestly. Like they typically aren't, but that doesn't mean anything in this game, right? Like you kind of throw a lot of things out because he understands the importance of stopping our run. I would say that Bill Belichick will come prepared to stop the run. Now, however, if we're able to still do that, that's going to probably be the aha moment. Like, I'm going to say something crazy here on this podcast. This is the week, in my opinion, because this never happens and it's always quarterbacks. If Jonathan Taylor wanted to win the MVP, he could win it this week. Like, if he goes out there and just goes crazy for 30 carries, 180 yards, and 2 or 3 touchdowns, I don't know. At that point, I don't know how anybody can become more valuable to their team, in this season. He's having a really good season, probably going to end up being a historic season for a Colts running back. So those are I think are the key things that they're going to hit on. Who's the second wide receiver or pass catcher? I would just call it pass catcher. So you could get that from Naeem Hines. You could get that from your tight ends. You could get that from anybody else. Ashton Doolin's been stepping up. It's got to be that second wide receiver that finds a way to get open. And it starts with Frank Reich scheming his guys up. Like, he's going to have to, A, get his offensive line to hold up long enough in the pass blocking game, and B, do something different, man. You cannot come out against Bill Belichick and do the exact same thing, that you've done all year long and expect Belichick to not be prepared, because he's so good at planning a game plan, but he's even better at in-game managing. He can switch on the fly and really change things up as it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, and there's you said you're like, I'm going to say something hot and wild. I mean, hey man, we do it all the time. Jonathan Taylor MVP before anybody else. I was thinking about it, off subject, but on subject. I was thinking about it today. Totally on our podcast, we called the dumpster fire that was the Jaguars. I believe I actually called him getting fired in season. So I was pretty pumped about that.
You did. Yeah.
Honestly, we even told UCF Jaguar that was going to happen. I felt bad about that.
Yeah. And not just that, but I think we just realized that he can't deal with losing. Like Urban Meyer wants to be a winner everywhere he goes, and dealing with the NFL, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to Trevor Lawrence in his NFL career happened when they fired Urban Meyer, honestly. Like, that's probably the best thing could have happened to him. Sucks for us, because now Trevor Lawrence is probably going to get developed by an actual NFL.
I know. That's what I was saying. I was like, I don't want an interim coaching in week 18. Damn it.
Yeah.
But I digress. What you were saying too, when it comes to the second receiver, who is it going to be? Is it Pascal's had his moments, but he's not been, I feel like, as solid this year. He's dropped more balls. He's not been as reliable he has been in years past. I saw someone saying it could be a Big Mo game. Maybe that's a matchup issue that you see coming out of there. I mean, and it's well documented. They've won, I think, 7 straight games, correct? And so while you were talking about, have they been tested? I'm looking over it. They beat the Bills in that weird game. that I mean, I don't know what you take away from a game where the wind was 60 miles an hour and they threw
Yeah.
the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
But then you look, they beat the Titans, a very injury prone, right now depleted Titans. You look, the Falcons, the Browns, the Panthers. They did beat the Chargers, but by 3. The Jets. I mean, they didn't exactly run this gauntlet of teams during this 7-game win streak.
Yeah.
Have they been tested? And I would say no. I don't think that anybody has been able to do it to where you put the game in Mac Jones's hands and say, "Can you beat me?
Yeah.
Can he carry the team
Yeah.
when you take away everything else?" I think that's what they're going to look to do on the defensive side of the ball, which also I've been so impressed. I feel like Eberflus has adjusted more this year a little bit, especially in the last little bit of time,
Yeah.
allowing his playmakers to be playmakers and not constraining them to a system. I'm excited to see. I mean, I think they're coming in ready. You hear reports of what they were bumping some song at practice today. I can't remember what I read, but they're hyped for the game.
Yeah. It's a big game. And one thing that we can't lose track of is the fact that Mac Jones is still a rookie quarterback, right? Like you can't get rid of that. And there's just certain things that as a rookie, a lot of times you can manipulate what he sees on the field and you can really scheme up something exotic. Like if there ever going to be a week that Matt Eberflus just changed it up and just went like, he said, you know what, this week we're going to play like a lot of man, like mostly man, and we're not going to play quite as much zone. That would just be something so like Bill Belichick-ish, like don't expect it. We're a team who plays heavy zone. But just to go out and literally just confuse the guy from the start, while the crowd's in it. And then he's like, oh my gosh, like I've been playing all week for these soft zone reads. And now all of a sudden I've got this man coverage with pressure coming up the middle. You're going to want to force things with Mac Jones, get his feet moving around a little bit, not let him get in this rhythm where he can just constantly just throw that ball, down the field and just go up and down the field, in my opinion. And I would do a little bit of a la, Belichick-ish. I would take their run game away because their run game has been strong. They've had a good offensive line this year. And I would say I dare Mac Jones to beat me with his arm in the deep game. Like the underneath stuff, we understand he's going to throw a lot of that, and we're going to cut that stuff off. We're not going to allow him to just sit there and go 4 or 5 yards every single pass and just run up and down the field. We're going to challenge this guy to throw the ball 20, 25, 30, 40 yards down the field. And if Mac Jones can do that enough, then he's going to beat us. And if he can't, well, then we're going to come out victorious. I think you're going to have to challenge this rookie quarterback, man, and just put it on your guys and see how that kind of plays out. Interested to see just if we do anything different this week than we would have normally done, Stephen.
Yeah, and I mean, as you were talking, I'm sitting there thinking, when you get exotic, you get things like the Dolphins when they blitzed, what was it, like 30-something times with their corners. Bringing Kenny, bringing and Darius hasn't rushed nearly as much this year, I feel like, as he has in years past. Just getting really creative. I want to see them try to confuse him. I mean, I'm not, I have this talk all the time with my buddy Adam, who's the Bama fan. I'm not overly, the whole Mac attack thing. I mean, I'm not. He's good. I'm not ready to say that, hey, he's the next Tom Brady and that he's perfect for that. I mean, he's in a great situation.
Yes.
He's played fantastic. He's done exactly what he's supposed to do. But what happens? What does happen if you press him? What happens if the Colts get up by 14?
Sure.
And for me, a player that I really am excited that I would not be shocked if I think Jonathan Taylor could have a big game. But I'm not going to be shocked either, Zach, if Carson Wentz has 3 touchdown passes. Just because I think what's going to happen, part of me wonders if he's going to give Taylor his yards. And then he's going to say, you're not getting in the end zone inside the 20s. You can get your yards between the 20s, but we're clamping down, and we're going to put it on Carson to make a play and see if he can do it. I mean, I was listening to Dan Orlovsky today, and he said he thinks this is the biggest game of Carson Wentz's career.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's fair.
he thinks the spotlight is on. We now know last year was an aberration. Carson is still a good quarterback, but are you an elite quarterback?
Yeah.
And that's what this game is. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I could see it being a game where we're stonewalled in the red zone and he's got to throw the ball. It's going to be, Belichick, I never know what to expect when you play him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody does, Steven, honestly. Like when you go against him, I think that's the reason he's been so successful. For me, it's just who's going to be that reliable, consistent number 2 and number 3 target for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I might steal a little page out of New England's, playbook, and I might like say this might be a crazy game to like target Naeem Hines like 10 times, like use him pretty much as a receiver, like use him as a run threat, like with jet sweeps and stuff like that, but really use him in the slot as a receiver on these wheel routes. And just say, you know what? He's a very good athlete. And if you're going to put safeties and linebackers against him, let's just let him run down the field and see if he can't make a play for us in open space, and just like the Patriots have always done with their pass catching running backs. They're just notorious for it. Use him to help you keep moving those chains. And then I think that you're probably going to see our tight ends really, really come out to run a little bit longer routes this time. I don't think you're going to see as many just 5 and 6 yard routes. I think you're going to see Jack and Mo and Colin Granson run down the field maybe 15, 20 yards, to really get some plays kind of on the back end of those defensive backs in between those safeties and corners. But there's no mistake about it. Belichick's going to play, man to man. I mean, he's going to play press coverage. He's going to dare those wide receivers to show that they can get open. Mm-hmm. And there's no secret. We've had a little bit of a rough time in man to man getting open if we don't have enough time. So it's very important to me that Frank Reich schemes up things. You want to run those crossers, you want to run those rub routes. Do what you can do to get our wide receivers some space so they can use their physicality. Because if we're not using our physicality, well, then we're not playing to our strengths. But I think we get it. I think the city obviously gets it. Colts fans obviously get it. I think, but more importantly, the players and the coaches get it. Like this game is not just about them. It's about every single person who has loved the Colts since day one and has felt this rivalry. Like, put us on your back and go out there and show us what you're made of, and kind of usher in this new era of Indianapolis Colts football and say, you know what? We're not going to back down. We're going to have our epic, iconic win against the New England Patriots. And why wouldn't you do it on Saturday night, in prime time when everybody's watching, and you have a chance to really almost kind of start solidifying your position in the playoff race?
Yeah. Oh man, it gave me goosebumps, man. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's the size and the magnitude. If it was the Colts playing the Bengals, it wouldn't. And even if it's the same records, it's just not the same. I think, in one other matchup, Judon, like you had mentioned, Fisher, that he's going to have to scheme something up to take him out. The guy's a game wrecker. We've seen that happen. We saw it with Aaron Donald. We've seen it with Jeffrey Simmons. We've seen these game wreckers that they have wrecked the game before, where they get in there and they get in Carson's face. Yeah. I do think he's shown progress he's getting the ball out faster now, it seems. He's not looking to hold. He's not looking to make that big play. But in a big game like this, does he press? I think ideally, I just want to see bully ball. I would love it. I would love it to just push him around with the offensive line, with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I know we're going to do we've kind of gone through the players and the keys, and I know we're going to get to predictions now. I hate saying it because it's the Patriots. I've got a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to throw some predictions out, man.
I think so, man. I mean, so I will say, I don't think I'm going to put this disclaimer. I don't think me and you have ever not picked the Colts to win. I literally said on the Bills one, I was going to pick the Bills, and I said I couldn't do it. And I had someone drop the comments in.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, please, you guys like, share, subscribe, comment. It's Patriots week. Hit it up big time. But I had someone in the comments be like, I respect you so much more because you said you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. So I'll start. I'll let you finish. I'm going to go 24-23 Indianapolis Colts. I know
Ooh.
it's crazy. It's a wild number, but I think that the Patriots kick a lot of field goals in this football game. And I think they have a lot of drives, but we're able to get them off the field and not let them in the end zone and tighten up against them, especially on that home turf. And I think that Carson and Frank and our running game, I just think third, fourth quarter, I just think Jonathan Taylor is going to eventually bust one, because they're not a great traditional, Bill Belichick team against the run. Now, Christian Barmore has been great for them. There's no doubt about that. But other than that, they don't have these great linebackers or the great interior that they traditionally have with like a Vince Wilfork or anybody like that. I just think over a long period of time, if you're committed and you stick to the run game, he's just too special. They're not great against the run anyways. You give me 25 chances against the run with Jonathan Taylor, and I say he busts one. I mean, I think that's fair. I think he's the best running back in the NFL right now. And I've felt that way before the season, and I definitely feel that way now. So 24-23, we're going with the Colts.
So, like I said, I can't not pick the Colts as I sit here. And you know, we go back to the beginning of the season, 1-4. They're just, and if you guys watch these videos and you go back long enough, you'll hear us talk like we have big questions sometimes. But at the same time, I feel like you can never question the Colts seem like they're just a very mentally tough team. They've bounced back from emotional losses and they've played great. You're coming off of a bye week. This is a big game. I feel like they know it's a big game. I think they're going to come out. They're going to come out to play.
Yeah.
I think they're going to look to push them around. I'm going 28-14.
Wow, I like it.
I think they bully them. I think they make it, and at the same time, it could be 21-0 or something like that. And then the Colts are hanging on because that's kind of how it's been this year. But I think they're going to look to see, hey, Mac Jones, can you actually bring the team back? You've not been asked to do it.
Yeah.
You've not been relied on. I don't think he's been the reason they've won any game, really. I think he's been a part of it. So can you be the reason your team wins? And I don't think he can. Me and you had talked about it since the draft season. I'm not overly impressed with him. He's had a great year, but I
Yeah.
think the Colts look to make a statement. And I think it's 28-14 Colts.
There we go. I mean, you heard it here first. Stephen Burton, 28-14, putting a double in that score. I mean, come on, man. I mean, how could you not be excited about it? What I would like to say is just kind of piggyback off of Stephen earlier. Come on, man. It's Patriots week, right? Like it's prime time under the lights. Light us up, man, in the comments. I don't care, who you're a fan of. Just go, man. Go with it. Like, rate, review, share, subscribe. And we're asking people to join our family, and Stephen and I are just so proud of what we've done all year. We've grown. We've been able to connect with so many people that we really wouldn't have ever been able to connect with, and that's because of Colts football. So we love it when you guys comment because we always feel like, there are the regulars that comment all the time, but also we love it when we see new people interact with us. That's just so special. So give us a shot, join the family. And man, I don't really have a whole lot else to say. Steven, you got anything to say, man?
No, I mean, I piggyback on what you say. Light us up in the comments. I joke. I love the heat sometimes. I continue to get heat from Ravens fans from
Yeah.
10 weeks ago. I love it. And we love hearing from the same people. You'll notice I feel like we might be a rarity. I don't know, but we try to respond with a comment back, a reply, a thumbs up, something to let you guys know that we've seen what you've said. And we're thankful and we're going to give your opinion kind of some credence and discuss it with you. I love hearing from you guys. And yeah, it's Patriots week. Tell me drop in the comment why you hate the Patriots. I don't care. You know,
I mean,
tell me
absolutely.
your scores. You know, that's
Yeah.
all those great things.
Yeah, we want to hear it, and I guess we'll just end it. And we haven't done this for a while, so it's kind of cool that we're back together, Stephen. And I will just say, on my behalf, I love you, Stephen loves you, and we absolutely freaking hate the Patriots. And we're out.
Yes.